You're listening to Empire by Design, episode 80. Hey, I'm Katie White, coach, consultant, transformation facilitator, action taker, empire builder, and this is Empire by Design. In this show, we're building empires, we're sharing stories, and we're getting up close and personal on the strategies that make an empire in today's online world. Get all the show notes, past episodes and more at katiewyatt.me. For now, settle in for the ride. Hello, Empire Builder. Welcome back to Empire by Design. If this is the first time you have joined us on this show, welcome. You are an empire builder. We're all empire builders here, and we're talking about building empires by our own design, in our own way, and whatever empire means to you. I'm Katie Wyatt. I'm your host. I am a passionate podcaster, a business coach and mentor, and the founder of Podwell, a course for podcasters and podcast empires, which is a membership community and soon to be podcast network for amazing entrepreneurial podcasters. So let's get into today's show. It is another live coaching call. I'm so excited about it. I will be doing a lot more of these, and so I have created a special page just on my website where you can see all of the live coaching calls if you want to dip into those specifically. That is katiewyatt.me/live coaching. Another thing you can do is if you're on your smartphone and you're in the podcast app, you can just scroll through my podcast feed. All of the live coaching calls start with the words live coaching. If you would like to do a live coaching call with me, you do not have to have a podcast. You just need to be an empire builder and have an empire building challenge to talk about. Then email me at katie@katiewyatt.me and I will send you the link to register your interest. I'm really excited to be doing more of these. Today's topic as well is one that I think you'll all find close to your own business heart. It's that challenge of identifying the right free offers that will delight and build your audience, but also move them to purchase from you. I think we all experience that feeling of people signing up to our free things, but then going no further. And it's quite hard to analyze why that is and what is the right offer. So we're going to do that today with Lisa, my guest. We do talk specifically about one or two strategies, but I also am going to add a couple of more in the outro. So stay on after the coaching call because I will give you some more things to think about. And my guest, let me introduce my beautiful guest. It's Lisa Murray of creativitylab.tv. She's also the podcast host at the Adventurous Creator podcast. I've known Lisa online since the very early days of my business. In fact, I worked with her one-on-one on her podcast strategy before she launched the Adventurous Creator. And that feels like so long ago. But I remember even now how interesting and magnetic and unique she is. And so I was delighted when she reached out to come and share her current business challenge on the show for us all to learn and benefit from. Today's show is brought to you by the Podcast Empire membership community. This is the easiest and most affordable way to work with me right now and get my input on your business and your podcast. We are a tribe of podcasters and almost podcasters who are getting laser focused on ensuring that our podcast is growing our business and vice versa. We do a monthly group call on Zoom. We have a Facebook group. We're doing a year-long growth challenge challenge, and I also create bite-sized actionable trainings and resources that you can use immediately in your podcast every month. I also do a hot seat member review every single month where I get deep into one member's podcast and give them lots of tips to build their business and their podcast. Go to podcastempires.com and click on Access the Empire to join us. Without further ado, Empire Builders, let me introduce you to another Empire creator, Lisa Murray. Hello, Lisa Murray. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Katie, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. And, we were just laughing because this has been a very spontaneous, less than 24 hours, let's do it kind of podcast. So I'm so excited. I hope you are too.
Absolutely. I love spontaneity. It's one of my favorite things.
Brilliant. Well, you are a creativity person, so I can totally believe that. So, thank you for coming on the show and being willing to bear all for my listeners. So why don't you start off and tell us a bit about your business, how it's evolved over time, what it looks like now, and who you work with?
Oh, okay. Where to start? There's so many things to say. So I have a business called Creativity Lab, and basically it's evolved. It has evolved. That's a very good word for it, actually, in that I did a lot of experiments before I got to this space of it being what it is now. And those experiments have included all sorts of events, all sorts of different programs in the sphere of creativity, in the sphere of, growing empires, actually, because I also love a bit of empire building. And also in the sphere of changing, being able to change with ease and actually allowing who you are to grow and develop so that you can actually be the person that can create the ideas that you have. So a lot of what I work around is about bringing ideas to life. And I do that from every possible direction you can imagine. And there's been sort of telecalls about unhiding you, and getting more visible. There's been programs about creating a really brilliant business. There's been all sorts of different things over the years. And I'm always creating something. I wrote a book called Stop Waiting, Start Creating that people just love. They send me the most beautiful things and stories about things that have happened as a result of that. So I'm this manic creator, basically. And the place I'm in right now, interestingly enough, is it's like for the last 8 years, I have just done all these random things. Oh, and when I say random, it looked like random to people on the surface. Like the topics didn't seem to connect with each other. I'm very what I call multi-creative. Other people call it multi-passionate. So I've always done all of this big collection of things. And then in the last couple of weeks, it's been so interesting. I've actually seen the piece where all of these things come together. So right now I'm in the process of bringing all of it together in a really unexpected way. And I'm really excited about that. And it's called, that part of it is going to be called creative alchemy. And there is a magic in it, definitely. So that's a little bit about where I'm at right now. And yeah, I'm so curious to see where it's going to lead, because a lot of people judged me for doing such random things. And I always knew I was on the right path, even though it seemed crazy on the surface. I always had this real sense that if I do this, it's taking me to where I want to go, not knowing exactly where I want it to go. So yeah, I don't know what you're going to make of that one, but that's how it's been. And that's where it's going right now.
Awesome. And it's interesting that you said that it feels random to people, I guess, externally, because I was just looking at your website this morning and I was like, wow, you have so much stuff. You have,
Yeah.
books and events and coaching, and that was kind of part of what I was interested to understand, was how that has evolved. And when you say you've seen how it will all come together, is that clear in terms of it's a membership or it's a
Yeah.
course, or what does that look like?
It's a membership. It's a membership because what I've realized is I don't just want to talk about business. I don't just want to talk about being creative. I don't just want to talk about how you live your life. I want to talk about all of it. And I want to talk about how it all comes together. And so, yes, there's a membership, because one thing I realized is when people look at my website, it can be a little overwhelming, because there is a lot of different things there. And for me, I love creating. So I don't want to stop creating. And what I have come to is this thing where, yeah, I'm going to create a membership where people can sample everything. And then if they find something really resonates with them, then they can actually take it further and actually explore those particular things in more depth. So the beginning of this membership is literally like this collection of some of the best of the materials that I have created over the last few years and bringing them together in like a lucky dip kind of way where people can actually literally play with all sorts of different elements and see what resonates for them. Because people come to creativity in all kinds of different ways and we are all creative. And a lot of people look at my site and they go, oh, but I'm not creative, so it's not for me. Whereas I look at it that it's for the creative people, it's for the world changers, it's for the people who really desire to create business in a different way to what's out there currently. So it's for all of these different kinds of people, but there is this kind of common theme underneath it of having choice, of not having to do it like everyone else does, and of being willing to change the status quo in whatever way that is for you. And so what I want to do is have this membership that I'm calling Creative Alchemy that's all about happy discoveries and bringing these things together in a really magical way so that you can begin to explore what your creative energies are, in your life, in your world. Because when we actually be creative in every element of our life, it actually opens up a lot more possibilities. It opens up a lot more choices. And you don't get stuck in the, oh, I should do this because I've only got 3 ideas. You actually have choice of ideas. You have choice of the possibilities that are coming to you.
And so, who is it for? Who's most attracted to you?
Yeah, it's the people who know that what we've got in the world right now is not enough. It's not what they desire to see for the future. It is the people who are like, I don't know what I want to create, but I know that I can create something that will change what's possible in the world. So it's the creative entrepreneurs, and they can be artistic creative or they can be creative in what they're bringing to the world because I don't limit the idea of creativity to artistic. I mean, I am artistic in some ways, and I love that element of it as well. But it's also very much for the people who desire to bring change in the world. Because ultimately, and that can come in a lot of different ways. I think we think that it just has to be a really big thing that changes the entirety of the world. No, the way you bring change is going to be really unique to you. And that's something I really love working with people on. Like I've got a client at the moment, and she's a photographer who can literally photograph who you're going to be in 18 months' time. She can pull that out of you and then capture it. And I think that is so brilliant. And for me, it's like that changes things for people because what happens is when people get their photographs with her, they have to grow into those photographs. And so they have to be more. And so I love working with people who've got some element in what they're doing that's really different, that actually, and that's the creativity part of this, is because for me, creativity is literally just doing something different to what exists currently. And so it's for the people who are really looking to do something different, who don't want to do the same thing as everyone else is doing in their area. And it's for the people who want to explore their creativity. Because if you're not used to being creative, if you're not used to playing in your business, then this is like a really simple starting place for people to actually just explore and discover, well, what is it like when I be creative? What is it like? What changes? What's possible when I be creative?
Yeah. So, what what's the biggest challenge in kind of those next steps, and what really kind of sparked you to have this conversation with me?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had this ongoing dilemma for quite a while now. And it's the thing of, what you give out for free versus what people pay for and not giving away the farm. Because I am really good at just saying, yeah, here, have this. Like I love giving people things. It's really fun for me. And what I've noticed in probably the last 3 things I've launched is that I've set up some kind of free thing, free adventure, free something for people that they have absolutely loved and adored, but it's given them so much that then they didn't need to pay for anything more. And so my thing at the moment is, what can I create with this that would like make people really creative. Sorry, make people really creative. I'm so funny. See, there I go. I'm giving it away already, right? This is where I'm at. It was a bit of a Freudian slip that, I think. But what It's the thing of like, what can I engage them in? What can I play with them with that will allow them to get really curious about what it is to be creative in the ways I've been describing, but not actually give them the entire farm before they even start. That's really the thing. That's the big question I've got at the moment. So yeah, yeah, and also what can build this into a big empire, because my view of this is that everyone could tap into their creativity in greater ways, in ways that would generate a much more wonderful life and business. And so it's like, what is it that would allow people to know this is for them? So
Mm,
that's my things at the moment that I'm really looking at in quite some depth. And
yeah.
I'm happy to have any any insights, any contribution that you've got.
Awesome. I think that that's a really common one, like feeling like are we giving away too much for free, and knowing what the almost like what the right thing to give away for free is in order to kind of continue the process that people want to then continue on the journey with you. And I mean, I find it's often a couple of different things. Like one of them is that it's often we are not necessarily giving the wrong thing away, but it's to the wrong person. So sometimes it's about are we doing a DIY type freebie when we're actually wanting to sell a very premium done for you product, for example. So I guess what are the free things that you've done over? So let's pick one of the ones that you've just done. Has it been a challenge or a download or?
Okay, that's a good. Now I've got to remember. You're making me remember things. So yeah, I tend to do challenges because they're fun, Um, like, and I have done downloads as well. I've done a lot of different things actually. So there is one I've got at the moment that is, well, it's just been renamed Idea Alchemy because I had to take its creative alchemy name off it because I want to use it for this. But it was literally about like getting to talk to your ideas and intuitively talk to your ideas. And people have had incredible results from it. And I also find they don't always then come and have more. And that always is interesting for me because they write to me and tell me about the incredible things. Like I've had someone say, yeah, I got 2 Hollywood film roles from that. And I'm so delighted for them, right? And I'm also like, imagine if you took this further. So that's one thing. Yeah, it's like, I think that the tricky bit for me is looking at what is the need they have before the need that I'm going to fulfill. That's
Yes.
literally the thing that I'm always like, because I'm always really clear on the need I'm going to fulfill. And then with this, it's like, well, what is that need before that? And what adventure can I take them on that will then allow them to choose the next step?
It's that moment of you almost want to give them a solution, as you say, the thing before the thing. So give them a solution to their immediate problem now, or need now. But in doing that, uncover a need for the thing that you're really solving. So, whereas it sounds like what you're doing is you're kind of you're part or solving the problem, but for some people that's enough. And so just making the offer of well, yeah, get more, like go deeper or get more, is not going to be enticing enough. So
Yeah.
can you can we track, like, can you think about a person who has kind of had these amazing results but not taken the step further, and almost kind of put yourself in their position as to what it was they were kind of struggling with, that your idea alchemy would have sparked their interest? Like, where were they at?
They weren't tapped into what they knew about what they wanted to create. And that's really what that program, the free one, solves. I gave them some really simple tools for tapping in and actually having, like, talking to your idea, basically getting the information from your idea. So literally, I know that they were disconnected from their idea. Even though they had the idea, they were disconnected from it.
and and so they could recognize that fact, or was it a bit more of a, this sounds kind of crazy and fun and I'm just going to have a go and see what
Yeah,
happens?
that second, what you just said. Yeah, they don't recognize it. I find with a lot of my stuff, the people don't recognize it until I name that problem. And then when I name it, um, sometimes that's enough information for them. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes they want to know the how. And yeah,
And so when you're, I suppose, teaching them how to talk to this idea or naming this idea, is that usually about their business?
that one is, yes. I mean, in the big scheme of creative alchemy, it won't be, because I'll create something different for the freebie for it. But yeah, for that one, yeah, I do it in the context of their business because I know, and I lead them then to my business alchemy lab. And some people do sign up from that, but there's some disconnect there somewhere. There's definitely a disconnect there somewhere.
And so what I mean, there must be something missing in their business life or a business identity. Like there must be some level of something's missing, that what you're offering is being seen as a potential solution. It's not necessarily that is the solution, but it's you're offering something free, and obviously people are thinking, well, I'll give that a go and see if it gives me some insight.
Yes. And for a lot of people, it does. For a lot of people, they think that's all they need.
Yeah,
And
and that
that's the thing that,
yeah,
yeah,
and that's, I think, because it's that thing of oh, it's you're creating a level of curiosity from what I can tell, and people are willing to kind of suspend disbelief or go on the journey because they, enjoy these sorts of challenges, but it's not building enough of a need for something
yeah.
further.
Yes, I think that there, what you've just said, is not building enough of a need for something further. Because I'm really good at saying, here it is. Like it's very easy for me to, because I'm quite succinct in what I give people a lot of the time. And so literally, it's very easy for me to tap into what they need and to give them the thing that will change it.
Yes, but turning that into a funnel is
I
kind of
know.
is that sort of next level of strategy that's possibly not the thing that's coming naturally to you because you just want to create it and give it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever talked to the people that you have seen get the most results from these challenges but not go further? Have you ever talked to them about the decision to not go further?
No, I haven't, but I could literally do that.
I think
It
it
would be
could be
easy.
a really
Yeah.
interesting way, because they are really, well, part of it is to identify, well, am I capturing the right people with my free
Yeah.
stuff? Are they
Yeah.
ever going to be the people that are going to want to dive into the depths of the pool of, creative awesome that I'm creating? And I'm sure that they are, or that there will be a portion in there that are, but there'll be something that, maybe they got very close to purchasing. Maybe they looked at the sales page, but they didn't go any further. And I think understanding that would be really enlightening, I think, for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I haven't looked lately, but last I looked, almost 600 people had been through like the Idea Alchemy free thing. So my sense is I could easily even also just send out a survey and ask people.
Yeah, I mean I would even, I think a survey will give you a certain set of data. The other thing, you could, there's a few different ways you can do it. So you could do just an email to everyone that's done it with one or two questions. So
Yes, yes,
what, and they'd be just the very, what was the biggest thing you got out of the challenge, what stopped you going further, could be something as simple as that. So really kind of easy questions to reply and respond to. And then what you could do from there is actually reach out to five of the people that respond and ask them if they'd be willing to jump on Skype with you for half an hour
yeah,
to really dig
yeah,
in a bit deeper.
yes. Yeah, I can do that easily. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Good idea.
Awesome. Awesome. So, what, in terms of your creative alchemy membership, so
Yeah,
that's the new one, what are
yeah.
you planning for that?
It's a good question. Like, I've literally had the idea for a week and I've been in a flurry of creating and planning. And Look, at the moment, I'm not clear on what the free thing is. I've got a lot of the stuff around the edges in terms of what I would like to what I would like to like do as the teasers and things like that. But the actual free thing, it's still percolating. And I think it's percolating because of this exact question that we've got is what is the thing that's going to actually make people curious about being more creative?
Yeah. And I think hopefully then this survey will shed light on that process and that thing.
Yeah, yeah. It would I hope so too. That would be fun.
And so what other things are you doing for free? Like you've got your opt-ins, but you're still
Oh yeah.
podcasting, aren't you?
I haven't done one in a while. I've been a little slack. But it's funny because I think the podcast wants to change because I've been talking to it, and it's like there are so many things it could be. And now that I have this piece of information about creative alchemy, it feels like I want to really use the podcast to lead people to creative alchemy. And so I'm going to start looking at, well, what are the conversations I would like to have around this topic that would actually invite people to see their creativity in a different way. And it's funny because I called it the adventurous creator, and I always knew that was the name that was for the future, for a long way into the future. And the more things I sort of create, the more I see how those connections are. So yeah, I mean, the podcast definitely I need to do some stuff with.
And I mean, it'll be great now that you've got such a clear end goal of getting people into creative alchemy to be kind of part of this whole collection of services, resources, offerings, etc. You can then think really specifically about how can the podcast be doing that? How can that be, encouraging the conversation or driving people to connect with you in a way that joining that creative alchemy membership makes total sense. And this goes for your blog, if you're blogging, and
Yes.
any other content creation as well. But I mean, it might even be that when you've got your first members in creative alchemy, that some of them become your interview subjects, because often
Yeah.
it's people relating to where they're at on their journey that is going to kind of bring that
Yes.
insight that, oh, I see so much in that person that I'm on, so I want to be where they are. And that's like a really good way to, I think, focus in and make sure the podcast is driving people to that end goal.
Yeah, and actually, I've got one interview that's unpublished at the moment. Actually, I've got two interviews that are unpublished because I haven't done the bits that are required to in terms of the tech stuff. But both of those interviews, when I look at them, are about people who are changing the world and how they're being creative with that. And literally, that could well develop as the theme for the podcast, is my sense.
It definitely could.
Because, yeah, because that seems to me, it's like, I don't think people often acknowledge how they are creative and how they do things differently. And that would be a really fun way to actually have people start to recognize their creative capacities.
And that's, I think almost think that is the challenge of attaching the word creative to anything in business. And I'm sure, I mean, you mentioned it earlier on, there's a lot of, I guess, people being wary of the word because they think, oh, I'm not arty, therefore I'm not creative. And so it's almost giving that a common language that people can really tap
Yeah.
into and see that about themselves. I think it's getting easier and easier because it is so much more part of the language. Like people like Elizabeth Gilbert, I think, have made
Yes.
it part of our
Yes.
language, and lots of people are identifying with the way she speaks about creativity, even though they're not all writers, for example.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Yes, I think it's about, almost tapping into that collective consciousness and but bringing your particular spin to it, because I know everything that you do is so unique to you. It's one of the amazing things about you. And so therefore, how do you almost show that side so that people who identify with that are like, well, I have to be in the lab. Is it called a lab? I know you've got lots of labs. I'm calling it a lab.
Yeah, no, I haven't called it lab actually. Um,
Ah.
I could. I could, but I've thought about that, but I haven't. It could change. I haven't launched anything yet. Everything we're talking about is up for change because I'm literally still in that very, sort of internal creative process with it. So, yeah,
Yeah, and look, it doesn't matter anyway for now. But also think about I think what will be great for the podcast is you'll have a really specific call to action because you will have this one offering
yes,
that you're focused on, and I think that will make it a really simple for you in thinking, how do I tie back every piece of content back to the that membership, and also being really specific on the show of saying this, come and join, come and, this is what we do in here, this is what you get, this is what the amazing things that are happening. And I think just having one offer that you're repeating over and over again is really the way to go, because people have just such short attention spans now. I think, I know
yes.
I do, but I think the more consistent you can be about the offer that you're making, the more it does kind of seep into people's consciousness as well.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And this is one thing I think I've always struggled with a bit because I always had so many different things going on. And I think on the surface, it probably made me look flaky, even though energetically it was all very congruent with this place that I've got to now. So I think it will be awesome just to have one offer. And I'm really excited about that part of it. And actually, now that we're talking about it, it makes me want to, like redo my intros and outros and all those things because I'm like, oh, of course, I need to make them totally different now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why those two interviews haven't gone out because they actually have more of this other energy that we're talking about.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
definitely would want you to redo the intros and outros and make them really relevant to where your business is at now, and
Yes.
always be thinking, how does this come back to this place of creative alchemy, and how does it inspire people to take that next step, and be, pointedly pushing them there as well, actually
Yes.
sharing the link and sharing the actual offer. Do you also have a Facebook group?
Yeah, I do.
Just one?
Yes. Well, okay. I have groups for all my private programs, but one that's public, one
Right.
that I just,
One
yeah,
free group.
yes, just one. One is enough for me
Yeah. Oh,
in this particular case.
I hear you. I have two and I'm about to get rid of one of them. I think the simplicity of single offers and that freedom to play deep in one place is really exciting at the moment. And I think it's something that we have in common at the moment too, which is probably why we connected today. But
Maybe.
also think about the Facebook group and the role it's going to play in, I mean, if you're going to do
Yeah.
a free challenge, then obviously you're going to be pushing people to that Facebook group, but make sure that
Yeah.
the Facebook group is also aligned once you've sort of internally sorted out what the creative alchemy space is, aligned to that conversation as well.
Yeah. Look, my sense is it already is. And it can always become more so. I use it as a place for experiments and adventures, really. I love to actually just see how people respond to different things. It gives me a lot of information about what's actually possible and what else I can create.
And that is one of the biggest benefits of Facebook groups, I think, is that experimental nature and the data that you can get. But again, the first thing I would do is really talk to those people that have most recently been on one of your free adventures, gotten a whole lot out of it, and not gone further, because I think
Further.
that's
Yeah.
going to really highlight for you where you need to really get people to in the Facebook group and on the podcast and anything else that you're creating.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's pretty easy to do that. So, yep, I'm really happy to do that.
Amazing. Please let me know how you go.
I will. I
It's so
will.
exciting. And tell us, for people that do want to dip into your creative pool, where should they go to connect with you?
The best place is creativitylab.tv because that is like the hub, and everything comes from there. So you'll always find whatever's new and exciting on that site. You'll find the Adventurous Creator podcast there as well. So yeah, everything can be found there.
Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming onto the show today and sharing a bit about what's going on in your business. I hope you have found it useful, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Katie. It's really been fun to talk to you.
Yay. Isn't Lisa just divine? I really love people who almost have their own language. They are so doing their own thing in the world. We talked about one of the things we talked about with Lisa, I talked about with Lisa, is talking to the audience who have come very close to purchasing your product or service and then didn't, as a way to understand really what's going on for people when they're consuming your stuff, what value they've got out of the free stuff, what made them want your paid offering, and what stopped them from purchasing. So I do encourage you to think about this strategy if it's one that resonates with you. We also talked about this idea of the freebie you create as a direct funnel to your paid product. It's so enticing in this modern world to give the empire away for free, to just give, and we lose perspective on the line, where to draw the line between free and paid. So my first tip is to ensure that you are attracting the right people for your paid product with your free product. Is your free product a DIY product, do-it-yourself product, but your paid is a premium done-for-you product? These are going to attract different people. A great example of freebies that do lead really nicely into paid products are often a taste of the paid product. So one meal plan for the person that's selling a weekly meal plan membership, or a recorded coaching call before you buy the program to get multiple coaching calls. So I want you to really think about, is that the right way to sell what you've got, by giving a taste of what people get in the paid version? This won't work for everybody, but just something to think about. My second tip is around challenges, because I know they're really hot right now. Zach Spuckler has been talking about them a lot in 2016, and I think that they will be the webinar of 2017. So I know you're all probably out there thinking about doing them or have already done them. And I think that I see people really struggle to convert free challenge participants into buyers. And so what I want you to really think about is your challenge solving a specific problem? You really want a singular outcome that's achievable in the length of time of the challenge. And secondly, does solving the problem open up a new need that your paid product can solve? I think a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this, have free challenges that give a bit of something, and then the paid is more of that thing. It's like we want to build up enough love, inspiration, and excitement in the free thing that people want to pay for more of that thing. And it is, sometimes that works, but I think less and less it's working. So I do this myself. I have a currently running challenge that has exactly this problem, but I've just developed a new challenge. It's a 5-day challenge for podcasters. So it is ultimately, I want more people to join my podcast empire community. So I've created a repurposing for growth challenge. Now, if you're interested in this, sign up at podcastempires.com/repurpose, as it will become evergreen once it's done. It's running live the week that this episode goes live. So it's definitely worth joining us if you're listening to this on the day or two within the episode going live. Now, it's enticing when serving podcasters. I really want to do things like a growth challenge or get yourself on more podcasts as a guest challenge, but I can't deliver an outcome on those two things in 5 days. I can't get you onto 3 podcasts for interviews in 5 days. Well, potentially I could, but it would be very hard. I can't let you see instant return on I can't give you 10,000 more downloads in 5 days. I can give you the tools to do it, but we won't see the results in the 5 days. And so I can't do those challenges if I really want to create a new problem that my paid membership can help you solve. So I chose repurposing as my challenge because I can show you how to repurpose your podcast. You can repurpose your podcast in 5 days, and you will get a system to repurpose your podcast in that you can use over and over again. So there's a very clear result here. The new problem that this is going to create is you are going to realize that you need to do this consistently over and over again for it to have an impact, and you're going to have more questions about how to grow and market your show. And so then what the Podcast Empire membership will offer is consistent accountability, because we're talking every single month. I'm going to keep your podcast on your radar. You're going to keep maintaining consistency because you're going to learn the tools from me how to do it. So look, let's see if this strategy works. I'll keep you posted. But how do we understand or get inside this problem before the problem that you want people to pay to solve? I gave some ideas with Lisa. We talked about it today, but I'm also going to do an episode next week. It's related about a framework that's really hot in the entrepreneur world, but I don't think we talk about it enough, if at all, in our online world. So make sure you subscribe and join me next week for that episode. Otherwise, signing off now, Empire Builders. Head out there, build your empire, have a great week, and I'll see you next week. We've loved contributing to your empire building today. Please share us with a fellow empire builder so that we can help them too. Remember, hashtag 100K Empire Army. Thank you to Luke at The Wellness Pro for production and editing, to all of our guests, and to you, our most important empire building listeners. You should also check out my other podcast, hashtag Ladyboss Chats, where Elle Roberts and I chat all things Ladyboss life. You feel like you've just pulled up a cozy armchair with your biz bestie. Find us in your favourite podcast app or at theladybossproject.com.